15. Matthew chapter 15, and I would like to read, beginning with verse 21 from Matthew chapter 15, and I will read down through and including verse 28. Matthew 15, verses 21 through 28. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, Lord, thy son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And the disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. And she said, True, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from the master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, Woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. May the Lord's rich blessing be upon his word. May it be sanctified in the hearts and minds of the people of God. I want to talk to you this morning from the subject of a mother, a daughter, dogs, and crumbs from the table. A mother, a daughter, dogs, and crumbs from the table. As I was studying this particular text this past week, I thought about my own little pet, my little dog, Ace. And when I got him about 9 months ago, I wanted to strangle him. But he's become near and dear to me. As a matter of fact, he's probably one of my closest friends. Because Ace earned my respect. He earned my respect. I saw him get hit by a car, and a less of a dog would have been annihilated. And I thought for sure that he had a broken neck, a broken back, and I was going to have to flee the country because I was left to take care of him. And I let him run out in front of a car. But to everyone's amazement, when he was taken to the vet and they x-rayed him from head to toe, they could not find a single broken bone. And with that feat of courage and valor, he earned my respect. And so we've become very good friends. And I was thinking about him as I was studying this text. We have this ritual that we go through. He's a little Cocker Spaniel. And if you ever had a Cocker Spaniel, you know they have a lot of energy and they're very hyper. And he gets very excited when he comes in the house and he sees the kids and he runs around the furniture and he jumps over stuff and up on top of things. And when you get him in the house, it's very difficult to get him out, to get him to leave. Oh, but I found his weakness. Ace, like his master, has this weakness for wheat bread. And all I have to say is, Ace, wheat bread. He comes running. And I'll take a half of a piece of wheat bread, and I'll break it into smaller pieces, and I'll drop one on the floor, and he'll get it, and I'll lead him to the door. And I'll open the door to the garage, and open my hand, and fling the wheat bread out into the garage, and out in the garage he will go, and then I'll close the door. And I thought about Ace as I was studying this text. I said, am I outsmarting him, or is he outsmarting me? Am I making a fool out of him, or is he making a fool out of me? Is he getting what he wants? Am I getting what I want? And I concluded that a dog will go through tremendous gymnastics to get crumbs of wheat bread. As we will see in this text in Matthew chapter 15. It's a very interesting text in Matthew 15 because this is the only record in the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John where there's any record that Jesus went outside of Palestine. All of Jesus' ministry was within the borders of Canaan, were within the borders of Israel. But on this particular text, the book says that Jesus withdrew into the district of Tyre and Sidon. Now, Tyre and Sidon, it would correspond to the modern-day Lebanon. Tyre and Sidon is in the northwest, on the northwest border of Israel. It's right along the Mediterranean Sea. It's about 40 miles from Galilee. Tyre and Sidon, it was in the north, and it was a part of Phoenicia. And Tyre and Sidon, there in Phoenicia, was a part of the old Syro-Phoenician country. As a matter of fact, in Mark chapter 7, Mark refers to her as a Syro-Phoenician, the group that were comprised of the Syrians and Phoenicians. And so Jesus actually leaves the borders of ancient Palestine and he goes into this place, Syro-Phoenicia, Tyre and Sidon. And that's very important because I think when we see him going there to meet with this woman had this great need, this mother with this great dilemma, this mother in great distress. And Jesus meets her there in her home country. There's a lot of things that were going against her. The first thing that was going against her was her race. She had the wrong pedigree. She was a descendant of the Canaanites. If you've been here on Sunday morning, you know we've been studying the book of Joshua, and we know that God had pronounced a divine curse on the Canaanites that inhabited the land of Canaan. And God had said that he would obliterate them from off the face of the earth. But God had spared some of them, and she was a descendant of the Canaanites. The Canaanites were considered to be the Gentiles of the Gentiles. In other words, they were the most despised of all the Gentiles. They were outside of the Jewish covenant, outside of the commonwealth. They were outside of the blessings of God. And they were despised and they were hated by the Jews because the Canaanites had been the inhabitants of the land. And the Jews that came into the land of Canaan had to wage war against them. And the Canaanites remained a thorn in Israel's side. So this woman from Syro-Phoenicia, a descendant of the Canaanites, she had the wrong race to have any claims to lay on God. Not only did she have the wrong race, she had the wrong religion. The Canaanites worshiped the goddess Ashtaroth. And Ashtaroth was referred to as the queen god of heaven. She was the mother goddess. And Ashtaroth was the goddess of indulgence. And those who worshiped Ashtaroth believed that they could indulge in all types of activity. As a matter of fact, they thought that the indulgence and the participation in sexual immorality actually deepened their communion and fellowship with their goddess. And so with Ashtaroth, the worshipers could eat and drink and be merry, and they could lay down and play and then rise up and worship her. And that was another reason that the Jews despised the Canaanite. It was because of their corrupt worship system. And the Jews were always tempted, and they always had to fight against the infiltration of idolatrous worshipers polluting their worship of God. So she was from the wrong race, and she had the wrong religion. And this woman was from a country stained with infamy and sin. And she came to Jesus. And she was conscious of the demerit of her own soul. She was conscious of her own spiritual bankruptcy. She was conscious of her own defilement. But she came to Jesus looking for divine mercy, both for herself and for her daughter. She was determined. And even though her race and her religion was against her, she was determined. She would not be denied. And so she came to Jesus. Now we saw there in the reading of the text why she came. Her reason for coming to Jesus was that her daughter was possessed with a demon, grievously possessed. Her daughter was demonized. Mark 7 says she was a little child, a little girl. So this little girl was demon possessed. That is not uncommon to see demonic activity and to see children that are demonically possessed when their parents are involved in the dark arts, in false religious systems, in the occult, and idolatrous worship. Because very often children become the easy prey for the enemy to attack because they are not spiritually